What are some non-obvious early signs that a relationship is coming to an end? You feel strongly about something, but you don't want to talk about it because you know it'll just become an argument that won't be resolved satisfactorily. Well, shit. Being with them feels like an obligation. Their quirks drive you away from them subconsciously. You're only trying for the sake of keeping up a social veil of perfection. Or when you're asking this question on Reddit, their quirks drive you away from them subconsciously. This will happen in any relationship that lasts long enough. If you're serious about being committed to your partner, then you need to be able to work through the inevitable time that their quirks and eccentricities drive you insane. That's a choice you have to make, and not just once but over and over again. Love is not fuzzy feelings, and your partner annoying you is not a sign that the relationship is ruined. All that matters is your response when you recognize what's happening. Even fights are one-sided. The other person just stops trying to resolve the issues. This is a good one, but I'm the exception to the rule. I'm in a relationship that came back from this. My wife and I used to argue, and I would always lose. That is, either she would get angry enough that I gave in, or she'd start crying, and that means I lose by default. I stopped caring. She'd tell me what to do, and I'd either blow it off or even agree, then do whatever I was going to do in the first place anyway. We worked it out. I showed her that she was being emotionally manipulative, and I would call her out on it when it happened. She learned that it's possible to disagree with someone and still let them have their way, because compromise is essential in relationships. We are a lot happier now. Edit. To everyone asking me for advice on how to do this, I'm definitely not qualified. That said, I've responded to a few people in this comment with some minor advice to start with. Try reading my responses to those comments by checking out my profile page. If marriage, here was mine. She didn't want to put her name on the house we were about to buy. She still gave me money to help me get it, but she wouldn't put her name on the mortgage. I forget the reason, but it went in one ear and out the other. It should have been a red flag, but I was naive. We were divorced 1 year later. She didn't want that house with me because she was already thinking about leaving me. That's actually pretty nice of her, unless you can't afford it on your own. Logistically it would be easier, but emotionally it's a really shitty move. Will they want to stay in the house they envision living into old age with their spousing? If not, now they have to sell after only owning it for a year or so, which is a bad position to be in as a seller. Not to mention the stress of selling a house on top of going through a divorce. Also, the home a married person needs and a single person needs are not the same thing. They probably made compromises in the house selection they wouldn't have otherwise. When you get a urge to ask people about symptoms of a failing relationship, by this point it's already too late. The opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. When this makes sense to you, it's over. Oh no, I understand it, and I've never been in a relationship. Is it over for me already? Omi wa mau shindaru. Knowing that your so is physically in the room with you, but feeling that mentally, they are very far away from you. I thought sleeping alone was lonely until a night when my ex was upset and wouldn't touch me. That was the loneliest I have ever felt. Not exactly in bed, but whenever somebody you love shrugs away from even a basic touch. That shit hurts. The brief terrifying, numbing thought of is this going to be the rest of my life? This one hit home. This thread is getting more and more depressing the further I scroll down. When you take a trip together and argue the whole time. One of the reasons I knew I needed to marry my wife. We could go anywhere together. I asked a friend of my boyfriend's if he and his GF wanted to go on a trip with us. First thing out of his mouth was I don't think I could be in a car that long with her. Shit, that is harsh. Sex must have been mind-blowing though. When it starts to feel like a bottomless pit, no matter how much effort you put into it, things don't improve, and you get less and less back every day. Alternatively, when you realize that you can't problem solve for shit when the two of you are together, even simple tasks that require nothing more than open communication. Relationships require work, but they also need to be functional. If basic incompatibility keeps the two of you from working together as a partnership, it's ducking doomed. I asked a friend for some advice. When I felt like my past relationship was rocky, I just wasn't sure if it was worth ending. She asked me, would you two be friends if you weren't in a relationship? Nope. Nothing in common anymore. I ended it. It's a great bit of advice that I've heard formed in many different ways. People seem to give their sexual partner passes that you would never give to even your best friend. When you don't see each other for a few days and you're not excited to get back together. It's been 11 days since I saw my boyfriend, 19 days to go before I can see him. I really miss him and everything I do brings up thoughts of wow, he would really enjoy this, or I wish he were here to experience this with me. Thank God for texting, but it's not the same. I do long distance. Basically starting from this past June we only see each other for maybe a week every 3 months. I saw her in June, near the end of August, just last week for a few days before Christmas. Won't see her again till maybe mid-March, and then hopefully we'll move in next June. It's horrible. I can't even begin to understand how military couples do it. When you're spending time with them, and you'd rather be anywhere else. When conversations with them become dry and boring, that's a big one too. Me and my GF can't text for shit, but in person, holy shit, we could talk for weeks. Mostly her though, I listen, give my input, and listen more, and she loves to ramble, and just talk about anything. When we go on long car rides, smiley face. I was beginning to think I had the only relationship like this. Terrible at texting, much better with in-person communication. Thumbs up. Side note, the lack of emotion and inflection in texting gives me anxiety lol. You don't want to see them anymore. I thought I was just tired from starting a new job and anxious about upcoming changes in my life now. Turns out I just didn't want to see him anymore. It felt like going to work. I spend 9 hours a day bugging guys about making phone calls and filling out paperwork, and then I realized I'd just go straight to his house and bug him about doing homework and calling the vet for his dog. Courtney. Yes? A friend asked me, what's he like? About a month into the relationship. I couldn't answer. It ended in flames. Lesson learned. I'm bad at this question in general. I'll lock up. When people ask me to describe other people, it's like forgetting someone's name, even though you've known them forever. When he/she no longer bothers to get upset or angry with you, it shows they have checked out and think of you as a stranger. Is it a problem if you don't ever argue in the first place? I've never been in a relationship very long, but my current so, and I have never disagreed about anything more serious than movie reviews. That feels like it's not normal, but maybe it's a good thing. You'll find things to argue about, but the important thing is to be honest with each other. Don't not express an opinion or say something you don't believe because you think it's what they want to hear. Happy healthy couples bicker and argue and occasionally have a full-on fight. It's part of it. What makes strong relationships beautiful is that you resolve issues, move past it, genuinely forgive each other mistakes that have been made, and move on with your life wiser and closer than ever. Just hanging out becomes a chore more than pleasure. Reading this thread has confirmed many times over that my almost 8-year relationship is definitely over. Reckon it has been for many years now. It's time, friend. You're right. She didn't even make any real effort for Christmas. I bought her a brand new box set of Harry Potter books I knew she'd love. I got a selection box that was obviously cheap and tells me I'm just an afterthought. A convenience. She even bought presents for people I don't even know. I'm definitely done. Just need to find somewhere to go and live. No, you are right. You knew all of this, but it hurts, and it's scary, and it's not convenient. But I promise this, it will be hard, and then it will get better. Someday you will be loved, and the memories of her will seem more like bad dreams. When you feel like you have to make excuses about your so to others, why they do what they do, why they said what they said, etc. More like when you stop making those excuses. When others talk about your so to you, and you get a little exasperated, or a little wince/groan on your face when they say their name. I have a dear friend like this. I don't think I've ever heard him talk about her without a subtle sigh, at best, or an overt complaint about her. It's depressing, and when I pointed it out to him, and noted that doubts of that magnitude rarely solve themselves, he changed the topic. How bleak.